What's up, guys? Rick here with my top 5 fades for this week's Sentry Tournament of Champions. These are golfers, 5 of them out of a field of 42, that I'm not as warm on as maybe the rest of the industry. These are guys that I'll probably either be staying away from completely or being underweight on compared to what I think the rest of the other players in the industry are going to do, and I have concerns about things like that. So it involves pricing, maybe their odds, maybe their form, or some other a concern that I may have about them. So let's jump into it. 5 fades for this week's Sentry Tournament of Champions. We're going to work our way up from the bottom. That's the way I was told to do this. I agree. It reveals the biggest fade at the end, which is always kind of fun. Abraham Ancer's the first guy, and I am a big-time Abraham Ancer stan, right? I'm a believer. What he did at the President's Cup, how he's kind of been a really stout competitor on the PGA Tour. I love Abraham Ancer. I have a couple of problems for this week. I know it's not a prerequisite, but driving distance has been a strong correlator to success at Kapalua. That is a fact. Whether you say that data is skewed a bit because you only have the longest hitters here who happen to be the best players here, I'll listen to that argument. And if you want to say that you don't have to be long as you hit the correct side of the fairway and get that 60-yard roll, I'm also here for that argument. But even still, I think that distance is still a strong correlator to success at this event. I also think that there's a bit of experience that goes into this. You know, it's 7,600 yards at Kapalua, but it plays a ton downhill. There's just elevation changes all over the place. You have massive greens with a lot of undulation that are a bit more difficult to read than your standard kind of resort course. And I think playing it once or twice goes a long way. This is going to be Ancer's debut at this event. And I just think that there's going to be better weeks that set up for him, like next week. Sony Open next week. Abraham Ancer feels like the perfect fit for that. There's a really good trend for, guys who win at Sony who played the week before in Maui because they're dealing with the jet lag and all that stuff, and they got it out of the way a week early. So I'm just going to put a pin in Abraham Ancer. I'm going to fade him this week, hope he doesn't do anything crazy, and see what kind of number and price we can get on him next week at the Sony Open. Next up is Adam Scott. And I will be the first to tell you, I just don't know what to do with him. You know, he's $8,100 on DraftKings. I think you can get him like 50 to 1 to win the golf tournament. And 2020 was such a strange year for everybody, but very strange for Adam Scott, who found victory at the Genesis in mid-February. And to win at that course, Riviera, which is so difficult, against a field of just absolutely stacked competitors. I mean, he was just gearing up for a huge 2020. And then we get the shutdown. And then he doesn't really come back. He only plays 6 times after the tour's restart at the end of 2020. Didn't have a top 20 finish in there. It's just like, I don't know what to do with him. And there's so many question marks, and I can already feel a bit of the industry going back to Adam Scott, finding a reason to play that silky sweet swing. But I'm a bit more concerned about it. And I'm going to need to see it from Adam Scott first before I start investing my hard-earned dollars into him. So for me, Adam Scott out. We'll catch up for him with him in a couple weeks. Next up is Daniel Berger. And I love Daniel Berger. So this pains me to include him in the fades video here, but I think there's a couple of reasons. This isn't a particularly great course for him. I think he's so good in every category, not really great in any. And this is kind of a unique, I don't want to call it an extreme course, but it is a unique course on the PGA Tour. I'm not sure it's a good fit for him. And his recent results have kind of bared that out. I mean, a 14th place finish and 11th place finish in the last 2 times that he's played it, which, is even smaller fields, probably fields of like 30 or 32. So basically halfway or middle of the pack for Daniel Berger. And actually from like a DFS perspective, I actually just like the guys around him better. So he's priced around Colin Morikawa, who I think might be the most undervalued player of the week. Scotty Scheffler, Cam Smith, Joaquin Niemann. These are all guys that I love. So kind of by default, Berger gets the axe. I will play plenty of Berger this year. I will bet him plenty. I will have him in top 10s on almost every single tournament. But I don't think this is as good of a fit for him as we're going to get for the majority of the rest of the season. Next up, Xander Schauffele. This is a big one. It's a really big one. He's $10,000 on DraftKings. He's really short in the betting odds. I think he was like 10 to 1 last time I saw. there's a couple of things here. So one, from a narrative standpoint, he revealed to us on Monday morning, I think it was in an interview with Todd Lewis, that he had COVID over the last couple of weeks. And I am not going to sit here and try to determine how that impacts anybody, let alone a golfer, and during the offseason. Like, I'm not going to. But my takeaway from his interview was that he did not practice as much as he would have liked. That is it. Some guys play better when they don't touch the sticks. He had just made the comment that he just picked up his clubs a couple days ago, hadn't gotten in as much practice as he would like. That's all my takeaway from this is, which that's part one. And then part two is, by default, in a no-cut event, especially like this, Xander Schauffele's ownership flies. We'll get the official projected ownership number Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern time on the Rick Run Good YouTube channel during the live chat. And I'll have it on rickrungood.com before that. But I imagine when it comes out, it's going to be huge. Just because he has these, this no-cut aura about him in the same way that Justin Thomas does. He had a very famous win where he shot a 62 on Sunday and barnstormed Gary Woodland at this event a couple of years ago. He was in a playoff last year, honestly, an event that he should have won. 3 putts on the 72nd hole to kind of cough that one up. So I just think we're trending towards a very popular Xander Schauffele week. There are a lot of other great options around him. I don't need to be a part of that because I expect that number to be very significant. And then finally, Jon Rahm. Yeah, the biggest guy that I will probably, I won't have a complete fade on Rahm. I mean, I play a lot of lineups and all that stuff, but I will be underweight on Rahm, and I'm concerned about him. He's $10,400 on DraftKings. Infamously left TaylorMade in the offseason. He's going to be playing his Callaway clubs for the first time. Obviously, he's been getting dialed in. He's been playing with them. All that good stuff. I just do think it is a little bit different when you put him in competition for the first time. And I think it's a little bit different where, I'll be very interested to see what happens on Thursday. If he plays well on Thursday, I am toes up on this fade because he's going to be just fine. But and we've heard players say this before, it's kind of like you're playing new clubs, you're a little slow to start, you hit a couple of shots, 1 or 2 on Thursday or Friday that you're a little questioning a bit, and you're thinking, okay, I got to go get this tweaked and worked on, but you're in competition. You can't do that. So if he's dialed in from the get-go, this will look very stupid in a week. But I think that there is a mental and a physical side to this. And then also, I like Bryson DeChambeau here more for the price, right? I get a $200 savings on DraftKings to go down to Bryson DeChambeau. I think that's fine. I'd almost rather pay up for a more consistent version of Jon Rahm, which is Justin Thomas, or even go all the way up to the top. So he's just kind of in this sandwich pricing, stuck in between guys that I really like. You throw in the fact that you've got the concerns around any potential equipment changes. And for me, Rahm doesn't become a full fade, but he becomes someone that I tread very lightly around for this week. There you go. 5 fades, Sentry Tournament of Champions, 5 out of 42, over 10% of the field. I just crossed off my list. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know who I screwed up, who's going to burn me most. Tweet me at RickRunGood. Leave a comment below. Best of luck this week, and I'll talk to you guys soon.